Welcome back to Birds of a Feather. This is your daily Baltimore sports podcast. My name is Nathan Stroud, and today we're going to be going over and talking about Game 3 of this Orioles and Rockies series. And the Orioles were able to come out here and get a big win on the homestand against the Rockies before we go on the road facing Toronto tomorrow. But the Orioles were able to win this series 2-1. They lost game 1 of this series, and then they won yesterday's game, obviously in that big 18-0 historic win yesterday. And today the Orioles win 5-1 in a very clean, overall great game by the Orioles. Obviously, it wasn't like yesterday, but when you win 18-0, you're not really going to get many better games and better performances than that. But the Orioles win this game 5-1. The offense did its thing. Tyler O'Neill continues to stay extremely hot for the Orioles. Back-to-back days with home runs now for Tyler O'Neill. He had one in Game 1, had one in Game 2 yesterday, and had one today for the Orioles. It was a 2-run homer. Dylan Carlson drove in 2. Tyler O'Neill drove in 2 with his home run. And then the 5th run scored in this game that happened late was an error by the Rockies. It was a very Colorado Rockies-like mistake where Gunnar was able to score from second on a wild pitch and there was nobody covering home plate. So that's how the 5th run was scored. But the pitching in this game is overall phenomenal. I understand that it is the Colorado Rockies. I understand that the Rockies obviously have been struggling a lot this year, but it is still a good performance nonetheless. Tomoyuki Sagano has a very, very big bounce-back game. He's had some pretty rough starts in the month of July and, near the end of the month of June. Over the past, month and a half or so, he's had some pretty rough starts for the Orioles, either not really going a lot of innings or also just getting kind of rocked and, giving up like 6 or 7 runs in a game. But today has a big bounce-back game, has one of his best starts he's had in a while. Gets through 6 innings of work, only gives up 1 run, and has 8 strikeouts as well. So ties his career high for strikeouts for the season. And Tomoyuki Sagano, last game before the trade deadline, before the trade deadline for him. And obviously with Tomoyuki Sagano, there's some questions on maybe that he'll get traded. Obviously, he is 35 years old. He is a rookie still, but he did sign a 1-year deal with the Orioles, so he is a free agent next year. So he is on the table for the trade deadline. Every single player who's going into free agency next year is on the table. Guys like Ryan O'Hearn, Cedric Mullins, Tomoyuki Sagano, Zach Eflin, Charlie Morton, Seranthony Dominguez, guys like that. All of those guys are on the table for the trade deadline. Do I think that the Orioles, as of right now, are going to trade all of them? No. I think the Orioles at most will trade 3 more guys over these next 3 to 4 days going into the trade deadline. I think things are really going to start getting active either later today or tomorrow at the start of the week. But I do expect one of the 2 hitters, either Ryan O'Hearn or Cedric Mullins, to get traded. I'm leaning more towards Cedric Mullins right now. And yesterday after the game, he was talking to the Orioles broadcasters, and he was basically, saying how much Baltimore means to him, saying how much Baltimore has taken his family in. He's been here his entire career. He's the longest tenured Oriole on the team. He really, in a way, is the leader of this Orioles team in a way. Obviously, he was here during all of the rough years through the rebuild. He stayed on the roster. He was the first player in Orioles history at the time to have 30 home runs and 30 stolen bases. He was an all-star. All that stuff. Cedric Mullins really has had a great career as an Oriole, and he kind of was reflecting on it in his interview that he had yesterday after the game. And he really made it seem like he was about to get traded. I think he understands the position that the Orioles are in. He understands the position that he's in his career. And I think that there's an understanding that today really could have, today might have been Cedric Mullins' last home game as a Baltimore Oriole. There's a part of me that thinks that we're going to keep Ryan O'Hearn now. Obviously, the market for O'Hearn and Mullins is pretty high, but I don't really see the Orioles trading both of them, even though I do think that trading Ryan O'Hearn would be more beneficial long-term because I do think that he's going to get a lot of money offered to him in free agency. And to be honest with you, if you asked me last week, I would have said that I was more confident that Cedric is staying, but now I'm more confident that Ryan O'Hearn is staying, but I'm still kind of certain that O'Hearn's going to be gone, so it's a little confusing. I do think that the Orioles actually might trade both of their, both of the hitters there, and then 2 and maybe like one or two of the pitchers of either, Charlie Morton, Seranthony Dominguez, Tomoyuki Sagano, and Zach Eflin. So I do think, Zach Eflin, Charlie Morton, I feel like it's going to be one of those two guys gone. I think Charlie Morton might be gone. Also, Andrew Kitchers is in the list as well. So there's a lot of Orioles who are playing key parts this year that are going into free agency next year. So that's why the Orioles are in such a weird spot, because a lot of these guys are going to leave the Orioles and we were going to get nothing for them. I don't really understand why the Orioles would stay put for the most part for where they are right now. Obviously, the Orioles get a series win today against the Rockies. They're still 11 games below 500. They're still like 8 or 9 games out of a playoff spot. So they're still, it's going to take a literal miracle for us to even have a chance to get back into this season. But I just have a hard time wrapping my head around the fact that if Mike Elias does decide to stay put and not trade, let's just say, for example, Mike Elias trades one more person and decides to stay still, and then we continue the rest of the season with the guys that we have. We don't end up making the playoffs, and then these guys leave. Mike Elias is going to look like even more of an idiot than he already does. And I also just think it's irresponsible by a manager to not go out and trade these guys when they're going to be free agents, when you know they're going to get a lot of money that you don't want to pay that. I just think it's irresponsible by a manager or by a general manager to do that. To not look forward to the future, to not look toward 2026. Because at this point, I think that's what all Orioles fans are kind of looking at right now, is just looking towards 2026 and then keep watching these young guys develop going into next season and the years beyond that. But overall, this is going to be a very weird year for the trade deadline. Obviously, anything can happen at any time. Obviously, I will be talking about every single trade that happens as well. So make sure to, stay in tune with the Twitter, keep contact with the Twitter, keep contact with the Instagram, and also keep contact with whatever platform you're listening on, because I'll post an episode on whatever's going on with the trade deadline regarding the Baltimore Orioles. But let's just go over this Rockies and Orioles game. So going over the Rockies and Orioles game, the Orioles win this game 5-1 over the Colorado Rockies. The Orioles record moves to 47-58. They are still 11 games below 500, and they are tomorrow about to play the team with the best record in baseball, in the Toronto Blue Jays, who are actually lost today. But the Blue Jays have been one of the best teams in baseball this year. They have I think as of yesterday, they had the best record in baseball as well. It's a very tight race between some teams in terms of the top of the league. But the Toronto Blue Jays have been excellent, so the Orioles have their work cut out for them in this 4-game series starting tomorrow. There's a doubleheader on Tuesday. There's a game tomorrow night. There's a doubleheader on Tuesday, and then a game on Wednesday as well. So 4 games in 3 days. It's going to be a lot. Hopefully, obviously, the Orioles can go out there and at this point really to shock the world and put on a statement that they can win this series and can compete. Even with the record that they have, still compete with the roster that they have right now. Obviously, we understand that there's been a lot of stuff that's gone on this season that's kind of affected the Orioles' record and everything like that. But just going out there and, proving yourself every single game moving forward is very important as well. But going over this game, the Colorado Rockies actually out-hit the Orioles in this game 6-5. The Orioles only get 5 hits in this game, but they were able to score 5 runs as well. They had 5 base hits, they had 4 walks, went 2 for 6 with runners in scoring position, and left 4 on base. A lot of, bit of a cool-down game for the Orioles compared to yesterday where they won 18-0. The Orioles only scored 5 runs today, but it was enough to get the win. And the Orioles pitching has held the Rockies over the past 2 games to only one run combined over the past 2 full games. Only 1 run combined, and that was from a home run by Bern Babel today. That was the only run that the Rockies scored over the past 2 games, and the Orioles offense, obviously yesterday did a lot. Today they didn't do too much, but it still was enough to go out there and get the win. We had a couple guys not playing today. Jackson Holiday got the day off. Ryan O'Hearn also got the day off. Jordan Westberg was out here as the leadoff guy. He didn't get a hit. He went 0 for 4. Ramon Laureano went 1 for 2. Gunnar Henderson went 1 for 3 with 2 runs scored. Tyler O'Neill, the man of the hour. I mean, he has been on fire for the Orioles over the past 3 games. Today, he went 1 for 3 with a 2-run home run. Yesterday, he had a home run, and the day before that, he had a home run. So, in every game of this Rockies series, he had a home run in all 3 games. This one was out to left field, over the wall, 422 feet, an absolute no-doubter from Tyler O'Neill. And he's been hitting the ball hard. He's been hitting the ball well. And this is the Tyler O'Neill that we paid all that money for. This is the Tyler O'Neill that we signed. And this is what we expected from him. We signed him to a 3-year deal. Obviously, I do think Tyler O'Neill is going to play a big part of the Orioles team next season as well, either playing right field, maybe being an occasional DH as well. I do think Tyler O'Neill is going to be a part of this lineup, or part of this lineup going into next season. I'm sure of it. He's really turned this season around recently. His batting average still is low at a 214, but he's gotten that slug up to a 421, and he's really going out there and doing his thing. Ramon Urias in this game goes 0 for 4 with he just went 0 for 4. Cedric Mullins in this game goes 0 for 3 with a run scored and a walk. And then Kobe Mayo in this game once again gets the start at first base and once again continues to prove that he's comfortable in the major leagues. He's really been producing, he's really figuring things out, and he's really just looking more and more comfortable with every single at-bat. Kobe Mayo in this game goes 1 for 3 with a run scored. Did his thing. Obviously not some spectacular number. Yesterday he had that home run, but Kobe Mayo has been doing his thing this season. And again, as I said, if Ryan O'Hearn does end up getting traded in these next few days, Kobe Mayo, becomes your full-time first baseman. And I understand that Ryan Mountcastle is coming back from the injured list soon. He's been doing his AAA starts with Adley Rutschman and Keegan Aiken as well. We'll talk about Adley Rutschman more in just a second. But, Ryan Mountcastle really is like the first baseman of this team. Ryan O'Hearn more was like a DH. And then Ryan Mountcastle got hurt. We moved Ryan O'Hearn to DH, but then we also have Kobe Mayo DHing a lot. And I think Kobe Mayo's been getting a lot of at-bats at first base and playing a lot of first base because we understand that Ryan O'Hearn isn't going to be here. But then you have Kobe Mayo and Ryan Mountcastle kind of fighting for that first base spot. And I think long-term Kobe Mayo would be the answer. But Ryan Mountcastle, he's been the first baseman for quite a while here in Baltimore. He's been doing actually incredible in AAA. I think when I last checked in his rehab starts, he was 5 for 9 with 2 home runs, 4 doubles or something like that. He's been going crazy in AAA. But again, I do think Kobe Mayo is the answer here at first base. I think getting him reps, getting him playing time, whether that's Kobe Mayo as a DH or whether that's him playing first every single day, I think post-trade deadline, Kobe Mayo should be playing every single game for the rest of the season because I think that he is going to be a big part of this team moving forward into 2026. Dylan Carlson in this game was the other guy who brought in some runs for the Orioles. He went 1 for 3 with 2 runs scored, 1 for 3 with 2 RBIs. And Dylan Carlson, he had that hot stretch for the Orioles. Overall, he's had a solid year, a 233 batting average, has a few home runs in there as well. Obviously, Dylan Carlson not going to be a big part of this team moving forward, but it's still cool to see him do his thing. And then Alex Jackson was the catcher today. He went 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. He did his thing, I'm not going to lie. Alex Jackson, in his time as an Oriole, he got a few home runs, got some hits, drove in some runs. He did his thing. A 269 batting average over the games that he played. He has been pretty solid for the Orioles as a catcher. But when it comes to the catching position for the Orioles, we all know who is the real catcher of this team. We drafted him first overall in 2019. He was the former number 1 overall prospect in baseball. And obviously, he's the guy that started the comeback of this team. He was the guy that really was the leader through this rebuild. He was the guy that really flipped the switch, turned the page, and really started a new era of Baltimore Orioles baseball. And that is Adley Rutschman, who, from reports, from what I've been hearing, he will be returning to the Orioles tomorrow. He will be in the lineup tomorrow. I don't know if he's going to be catching or if he's going to be DHing, but Adley Rutschman is going to be back tomorrow. I think he's going to get reinstated later today, or he's going to get reinstated tomorrow. But from what reports were saying is that he is going to be meeting with the Orioles team today in Baltimore and then flying out to Toronto for this upcoming series against the Cardinals. I'm not against the Cardinals, upcoming series against the Blue Jays. But Adley Rutschman's back. Obviously, he's been on IL for quite a while. It's been, I think, a little over a month since he got to the injured list. He was supposed to be held out till after All-Star break, and it's been a couple weeks since All-Star break, and Adley Rutschman is back and ready to go. So that's obviously going to be great to see. You're getting your last core member back on this roster, and once Adley Rutschman comes back, you're going to have everybody healthy on this team. I'm not going to lie. Everybody impactful on this team is going to be healthy once Adley comes back, and we know that Adley has struggled since the start of the second half last season. Over the last calendar year, Adley Rutschman really has struggled to find his rhythm, batting wise and on offense. And hopefully this little IL stint and him coming back from that, hopefully that'll spark some sort of energy. Hopefully that little sort of a break is going to help him, and hopefully Adley Rutschman can go back to being the Adley that we all know and love. But that's it for the catcher, or that's it for the hitters. The pitching in this game was also phenomenal by the Orioles. They used 4 pitchers in this game. 2 of them that could potentially be traded over the next 2 days, really 3 of them actually that could be traded over the next few days. But Tomoyuki Sugano gets the start in this game. He also gets the win in this game, 8-5 on the year in his starts for the Orioles. And for a team that is 11 games below 500, for you to have an 8-5 record is very, very impressive. So shout out to Tomoyuki Sugano. Obviously, he started off the season incredible for the Orioles. Then he had a little bit of a rough patch, and he bounced back and had a really good start today. Got through 6 innings of work, gave up 4 hits, 2 walks, and only 1 run, and had 8 strikeouts in the process as well. The only home run that he gave up was a solo home run early on in the second inning. But 6 innings of work, only giving up 1 run, and had 8 strikeouts as well, which ties his career high. And his ERA goes down to a 4.38 in his last start before the trade deadline. He did his thing. Great game by Tomo. Yanir Cano came in. He did his thing. Andrew Kittredge came in. He did his thing. And Sir Anthony Dominguez came in, and he did his thing as well. The bullpen and Yanir, Andrew, and Sir Anthony, none of them gave up a run. They all did their thing. Held this game held the Rockies to only 1 run. Or held the Rockies to 0 runs, but held the total score by the Rockies to only 1 run. But overall, great game by the Orioles. Offense did its thing. Got on base, got some hits, did their thing. Tyler O'Neill continues to stay hot. And the pitching was phenomenal, just like it was yesterday. It was phenomenal again today. Back-to-back great starts by Trevor Rogers and Tomoyuki Sugano. And then we move on to the series starting tomorrow in Toronto. And then tomorrow it is going to be Chris Bassett versus Zach Eflin. So 2 veteran-like pitchers playing tomorrow. Chris Bassett's had a very solid year, even at the age that he is. 11-4 with a 3.88 ERA with 120 innings pitched. And then Zach Eflin obviously has gone through a couple of IL stints this year. 6-5, a 5.78 ERA. His ERA is super duper inflated. He has had some excellent starts, but he's also had some terrible starts as well. Obviously, Zach Eflin, the opening day starter, and somebody who could potentially be moved in these next few days. Somebody who's heavily rumored to get moved as well. He's a veteran pitcher. He has value. Him and Charlie Morton kind of in that same boat, except Charlie Morton is a good amount older than Zach Eflin. But the Orioles have a lot of work to do. Not a lot of work to do, but they have a lot on their plate when it comes to the Toronto Blue Jays. They are 63-43. They're 20 games above 500. They have one of the best records in baseball. I actually think they have the best record in baseball as it stands right now. We can actually go fact check that right now. The Toronto Blue Jays have the best record in baseball, and the Orioles will be playing them in the 4-game series starting tomorrow. 4 games in 3 days. So it's going to be a lot of baseball over the next few days. Gonna have a lot of episodes up as well. But Orioles, Blue Jays, this game is going to be actually in Baltimore. I thought it was going to be on the road in Toronto, but it is going to be in Baltimore. So we'll see what happens there. Adley Rutschman gonna be back with the team in Baltimore. So that's obviously very, very good to see. We have a 4-game series against Toronto, 4 games in 3 days, and then I think we play the Cubs for a weekend series starting this weekend, or next weekend, I guess. But the Orioles get a series win over the Rockies. there's still a lot, there's still 11 games below 500. They're still in a selling market. When we look at the standings as it stands right now, and we go to overall, the Orioles have a bottom 7 record in baseball. The only teams with a worse record are the Braves, the Athletics, the Pirates, the Nationals, the White Sox, and the Rockies. And then there's the Orioles sitting here, and there's a cushion between Baltimore and the Angels. The Orioles are also one of 7 teams who doesn't have 50 wins yet. If you see the Angels and above, every other team in this league has at least 50 wins, other than the Orioles, Braves, Athletics, Pirates, Nationals, White Sox, and Rockies. This is a seller's team. This is the seller's area. Anywhere right here, anywhere like down here, like honestly Cleveland and below, these are sellers in this market. Not all of them are sellers, but the teams that had expectations who were supposed to be good, those are the sellers. Guys like Cleveland, guys like Kansas City, guys like Arizona, Minnesota, Baltimore, Atlanta. Teams like that are sellers. Even the Pirates as well. Guys like the Rockies, White Sox, Nationals, like they're not really sellers because, again, they don't really have a ton of players that guys really want. And those teams are kind of set on their young talent moving forward into the future. But the teams with expectations that have disappointed, like the Baltimore Orioles, those teams are going to be sellers. We've already seen the Arizona Diamondbacks have made multiple trades already. I think they've made 2 pretty big trades already. Obviously trading Randall Grichuk and trading Josh Naylor. So the Diamondbacks are hard at work, and they still have more trades to do with guys like Zach Gallen and Eugenio Suarez and guys like that. The Orioles, the only trade that the Orioles, I'm going to be honest, the Orioles are one of the only teams that have made a trade so far in general. The trade deadline so far has been pretty calm. The only notable moves have been the Josh Naylor trade to the Mariners, the Ryan McMahon trade to the Yankees, and that's kind of it. I mean, the other major trade that happened this year was Rafael Devers to the Giants, but that happened earlier this season. But the Orioles were a team that made a relevant, decent trade, trading Gregory Soto over to the Mets for 2 pitching prospects. That's one of the only real trades that's happened. Again, there is a ton of teams that are trading. There's a ton of interest around a ton of different players. I do think that the interest is really going to start spiking up starting tomorrow morning. At the start of the week, start of the Monday, I do think things are going to really start picking up throughout this week. That's kind of how it always is in baseball, though. But I wouldn't be surprised if a couple trades happen later today. The closer we get, the more hectic it's going to get. And we'll see what the Orioles decide to do. We'll see what players get shipped off. I would be genuinely surprised if the Orioles stand still and don't do anything. There's a part of me that would actually kind of be upset at that. Obviously, standing still, you keep your team as best as it can be. You know what I'm saying? If the Orioles don't decide to sell and don't decide to trade a bunch of people, they kind of stand still where they are. They still have Ryan O'Hearn, still have Cedric Mullins, still have all the talent. But then it's kind of for what? Because unless the Orioles go on a literal historic run to potentially make the playoffs, then there's no point of having these players, because you have a ton of guys going to free agency next year who are going to leave because they're going to get a lot of money. Guys like Ryan O'Hearn, they're going to get a lot of money somewhere else, so you're not going to be able to, sign them to that money, or you're not going to want to, and then you're going to get nothing for them. So, just overall, I think that I'm just going to be honest, I think the Orioles should trade, and I think that that's pretty obvious. I think it would be irresponsible for Mike Elias to not trade these guys, just because they're going to leave in the offseason. You're going to get nothing for them, and we're going to look like the clowns in the league more than we already are. So, I think that at the end of the day, the Orioles should go out and trade maybe 3 to 4 guys. I'm sitting maybe around the 3 more players mark, guys including Cedric Mullins and Ryan O'Hearn. I think trading both of them will do good for the Orioles long term. But again, it's the business. It's stuff that you have to do. This is the punishment that we have to pay for underperforming this season, and for all the bad stuff that's happened. This is kind of the punishment, and this is the backlash that we're going to have to face. We're going to have to be sellers to be able to move forward with this team and win starting next season. Unless there's a real interest that we can re-sign players, you got to let them go. You got to trade them. You got to get something for them while their value is high. But again, we'll see what happens over the next few days with the trade deadline. But thank you guys so much for tuning into and listening to this episode of Birds of a Feather. If you like this content, make sure to subscribe on YouTube and like the video as well. And make sure to follow up on Spotify. And also make sure to check out the Twitter and the Instagram accounts. The link will be in the bio of whatever platform you're listening on. I post updates and live reactions to everything on there. And again, the Orioles get a big series win over the Rockies. I know it's the Rockies, but again, you got to celebrate the wins when you get them, because when the with this Orioles team, you got to celebrate every little thing that you can get, because there hasn't been too many of those moments. But the Orioles stay in Baltimore, have a 4-game series against the Blue Jays starting tomorrow. So I'll have an episode up sometime tomorrow talking about that. And I'll also be posting an episode anytime there is a major Orioles trade that is going on. Guys like Ryan O'Hearn, Cedric Mullins, Zach Eflin, guys like that are major pieces, either starting pitchers or position players. I'll be posting a video, a little bonus episode if any of those trades happen, and I'll kind of just give my initial reactions to those as well. So make sure to stay on the lookout for those. It is trade deadline season, so again, things get pretty crazy, especially for a team like the Orioles that are big sellers at this deadline, or presumed big sellers at this deadline. So I'll see you guys in the next one. I'll see you guys tomorrow, or maybe I'll see y'all later tonight if a big trade happens. Who knows? But I'll see y'all later. I'll see y'all when I see y'all. You have a great y'all's day. Go O's, go Ravens, and I'll see y'all later. Peace out.